Hi guys, welcome back. Someone watched the first video, so we're back to give you more. I'm here, Michael, with Linda and TJ and Evelyn and Tammy and Kelvin. And today we're going to be tackling the exciting topic of what is the difference between Christian dating and secular dating. Ooh. Okay, now off camera we already had a fist fight about this and what on earth we mean by dating. So Tammy is now going to enlighten us all with the official definition.
Okay, so it says here that dating means you're going on dates, you're actively getting out there and meeting people and spending time with them. And when you're dating someone means that you're seeing someone specific for a purpose on a regular basis. So that's what it says here.
Great, okay. So, is there a difference between Christian dating and secular dating then?
Absolutely.
Great. I agree.
I say absolutely because from what I understand, dating in the world or secular dating is very much about checking people out. It sounds very instinctual. It's very much about, oh, I like you. I want to get to know you better. And it's very physical. That's my understanding about it. And I don't get the impression that there's much spiritual behind it, whereas my understanding of spiritual dating is you're more looking long term. You want to encourage the person, you want to get to know people, you want to enlighten them spiritually and help them spiritually, and it's not necessarily all about the physical. That's me.
Okay. Yeah, so just following up for what you said. Yes, it's like in the world today in terms of dating, it's really more about the outward view of a person rather than the inward view.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the way there's different stages that the way it is in the world is you meet someone and then you find being attractive for someone and then you make that decision in your head that I want to date this person. But then after that's when you then begin to know the person. But then at first the major thing that attracts you to that person is the physical view. But then if you look at it from a Christian point of view, it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I definitely think, even adding on from that, there's a big difference in the way you then go about it, like even seeking counsel from God and potentially even like asking advice about what you do rather than just going on like your personal instincts and your personal like kind of, this is how I feel, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
What sort of advice do you mean? Getting advice about dating? What's that?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's so important to pray about the person that you date. In that sense, it's very different because you want to be, I guess, the clarity from God. But then I also mean like if you have a circle of people around you who you trust, kind of people that will then help you distinguish between like, because obviously you don't want if a person is in a really bad place, then you would want people around you to advise you, to tell you that actually maybe this is not the right time to date them, because are you going to be genuinely helpful for them right now for them to date you, that kind of stuff. If that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I just wanted to clarify, it's not like you're asking permission, it's more like you'd want to make sure that you're, I don't know, making the right decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a question for TJ though, because when you explained earlier the difference between Christian dating and secular dating, you said usually in the secular world, it's when you ask someone on a date, it's usually because someone's physical appearance and you want to go on a date with them. Whereas, but what would you say to people who may not necessarily go on a date with someone just based on their physical appearance, but actually because they want to actually get to know someone? Obviously, we can't throw aside the physical appearance and say, well, we don't care about the physical appearance because aesthetics is also important.
Yeah. So,
what would you say to someone who's like, okay, so I meet someone, they look good on the outside, but I want to get to know them a bit more on the inside, so I'm going to take them on a date, and the person may not necessarily be a Christian. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but then my answer to that would be, because if you see someone and you decide to date them, it all depends on your intention in the first place. So are you dating? Yes, even if the physical aspect isn't the first thing that you notice or the first thing that you pick up. But then again, it's still the thinking behind it in the first place. So if your thinking is pure and then you do want a genuine relationship with this person, and you want to spend time with this person, then try to look for a way to then benefit or help the person in any way, or just normally to get to know the person. So at the end of the day, it still depends on the intention behind it. Actually. So yeah.
So what should the intentions be then of taking someone out on a date? What would be good intentions?
Yes, it would be, first of all, would be getting to know the person. Secondly, would be just encouraging.
Right.
Third would be just kind of see how the person fits into your life in a positive point of view.
Okay.
So it's not just about meeting someone and it's about meeting someone and then see where they fit in your life and how they can make you either a better person or just kind of improving in different areas of life actually. So yeah.
I think also it's really it's really healthy. If we call ourselves brothers and sisters in Christ, then we should be having healthy relationships, male and female. And so it is also about meeting those needs. I think there are very important needs that can, I don't want to say can only be met, but are better met in male company as a woman. And I would imagine vice versa. Sometimes just having a different perspective, sometimes just having a friend who, is not of the same sex as you to give, that you can bounce off, I think is really important. And so from a kind of like a spiritual point of view, I think going on dates with pure intention can be about meeting those important needs that can be met by somebody else, where you're building a friendship and you're kind of spurring one another on, as the Bible talks about spiritually, and trying to focus on that rather than focus on the physical. I think it also helps, not to talk too much, but it also helps to kind of ward off temptations from the world as well, because sometimes you can be you could be tempted to want to develop a relationship with somebody who is not a Christian, who's someone who's not like-minded. And if you have healthy relationships with your brothers in the church, then it can help you with that.
But so is that therefore not saying that dating is kind of a safe substitute for not having to date people in the world?
Well, I guess based on the definition of dating, because dating is spending time with people.
Right.
Based on the first definition was to spend time with someone, putting yourself out there. So you're encouraging them.
Right.
So I guess yes, in some sense, if you see what I mean. No.
Hit me again, go on.
So basically, you are warding off that temptation, yes, because you are spending time with people and you're not allowing yourself to be like, oh, I want to, do what other people are doing who are not Christians, because, if you are Christians, you are spending time with each other, you're getting to each other, and like Linda said, you're spurring each other on.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? So you're not tempted to want to do what others are doing in worldly dating.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we are. I mean, I think everyone's kind of assumed that when we're talking about dating here, we've kind of ignored that definition, because if we take that definition at face value, if I want to get to know Kelvin better and want to encourage Kelvin and just find out more about Kelvin's life, I could take him on a date, right?
Well, you could, but it's funny because when I read this, it's quite interesting because this is not what the world does too. Do you see what I mean? So the world has deviated from this. They take dating to be like, she's pretty, she's nice, they're pretty, whatever.
Oh, Kelvin's pretty.
He's handsome, he's not pretty.
So the world has deviated from dating, So just as how, because this is what Christians do, go on dates, they encourage each other, they spend time with each other. That's what Christians do. That's not what the world does. The world's thinking, people think, and this is generalizing, but people are like, I need someone in my life, I'm lonely, whatever. And then they're like, let me see who is what enough, to fit into my life. So this is not what the world does, but this is what I can actually say. This is what Christians do, because also when you're dating someone, you have a purpose. It's someone specific. You're not just, jumping up and down to people. So yeah. So I think this is what Christians actually do.
I see.
Yeah. I think I was gonna say that the difference between dating in the world and in in a Christian perspective is the boundaries that we have. The boundaries are on the Christian end are very different from the boundaries on in the worldly.
I don't think there's any boundaries in the...
Well, in some people's worldly,
Okay.
there are boundaries, but I think that is the key difference, because some people, they don't just date people because they're pretty. They actually they get to know them. They're like 1 year. They actually think about their decisions, you know, but they're not. It's not with God at the center in the sense of, you know, they're not thinking about long term or whatever. Some people, they date you and they're like, oh, you're pretty. Oh yeah, I want a pretty wife, and they marry you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's the boundaries that Christians have, and the boundaries that you know, people who don't have any faith per se, well, that are not Christians.
Yeah,
I think
but,
that's the big
So
thing.
like speaking on, like you mentioned about you know, like in the from the church point of view, like, you know, like dating someone for a long term. Yeah, but then even in the world when people still they still, you know, meet someone and then, you know, still have the physical, and then they still get married for 60 years or 50 years. That still happens.
Yeah.
But then the major thing that we should kind of like, you know, hit is that like the difference between dating in a worldly manner, dating in a godly manner, is the physical desires. It's the desires basically. It's the intention, or the So basically the physical aspect, because, you know, yes, you know, people in the worldly point of view, they still meet people, they still care for each other, they still help out to that, they still contribute positively to each other's lives.
Yeah.
But then it's like I said before, it's, you know, it's going about it in a godly manner, going about it with with Jesus in view that, okay, I'm doing this, and that's where the love is coming from, not actually from, you know, some other pleasure or desire.
Go on.
No, I was just gonna say it's true, yeah. But as much as there's physical things, there's also emotional things. Because how much are you sharing with the person? You know, are you being emotionally attached? So that's why I said boundaries as a whole. So it's even mentally, physically, because sometimes some people who actually are not Christians actually are not physical. They have that standard, because don't forget, we're in a moral world. So some people do have standards, but it's like they share too much, you know, they're too attached, you know, they're so dependent on this person that their life is built around them. And that is a wrong boundary, you see. So it's not, I know the popular view is physical, but there's so many boundaries that, you know, the world doesn't have when they date. So it's not always just physical. See what I mean? But it's true, yeah. Most of the time it's true.
But one thing I'm just kind of thinking, obviously we're trying to establish the difference between Christian dating and secular dating. And from the definition we have is actually, you know, intending to spend time with someone for a particular purpose. That purpose can be, I want to encourage this person, or it can be, oh, I like the look of this person, so I want to get to know them a bit more. Or it could just be, I just want to go and, you know, dinner day or whatnot and see where that leads on it in the physical sense. It can have different purposes behind it. But one question I do have is, would there necessarily be something wrong for a Christian to see someone, whether it's a fellow Christian sister or maybe someone who's not necessarily a Christian, and be like, okay, I want to get to know this person and see where it goes from there? Would there be something wrong with that?
No, there's not something wrong with it. But like I said before, it's the intention behind it. It's where it's taking, it's where it's leading you to be honest. So yes, we all have friends that are not, you know, that are not Christian. We all have friends that are Muslims or like different religions as well. But then, you know, that doesn't change. I'll put this again. Yeah, it doesn't really. At the end of the day, it's still all about, you know, your thinking behind it in the first place. So yeah, so it's more about that. Yeah.
You have to tread carefully, because as much as your intention is good, don't forget people also have people, and you need to be careful what impression you're giving, because you might go into something like, oh, I want to encourage my friend, but if they're thinking, oh, you know, does he like me, this and that, do you see what I mean? So you have to always, I think that one you have to thread carefully. Like,
Do you have to make that clear to the person you're trying to spend time with?
Doesn't your behavior kind of make it clear though? If the way you approach the situation will essentially make it clear, and the way you decide to meet them. Like, for example, if you're just meeting as friends, you probably won't go on like a date alone at night somewhere. but you'd like meet in a cafe somewhere during the day, like there's a little bit of a difference. You're kind of sending a different vibe, I think, where you go about things also kind of suggests.
Yeah, but today's world,
Yeah.
oh, they texted me. Ooh, we're going on a date. So it's a bit,
And also the way a conversation then goes, I think that will make a difference. Because you can only affect people's intentions to a certain point. If someone wants to have wrong intentions, they will have them regardless of what you do, yes. But I don't know, I think it's a lot about your conscience as well. Like if your conscience is clear and you're going to do this thing like I'm encouraging you, and you're obviously wise about it. I'm not trying to take it into unwise situations. I'm saying you can't completely cut off friendships with people who are not who don't share your beliefs. I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, but tread carefully. Yeah. Very carefully, because don't forget we're in the world, so people think all sorts. Like even if you, I don't know, take it to the top of the sky, make everyone see that there's nothing. People still they think really like the world, you see, because that's what they see, that's what they know. So even if you're pure about it and all that, they might not have that same.
So then, could you? And this is, I guess, a question. So then, could you, in order to, I guess, protect yourself, then is it still counted as a date? I guess if you then take someone like say, oh, can we hang out as a group, like friends or whatever, like. Bring them into something else rather, and then I don't know. Is it still calling it?
I think by the official definition, that would still be a date, right?
Okay, so then you could, in that case, then you could switch it up and protect yourself in that way. Meet up if you don't feel comfortable. Meet up with other people. I don't know.
But when it says meeting people, does it mean meeting people as a group or meeting people as in different people? Do you see?
Well.
Come on, guys, get involved. Come on, Michael.
Wait, so
Easy, come on.
So is it like maybe like getting together, something like as a group or like just like a group of four friends like okay, you want to go date and like everyone has their own date and just do the date together. Like is that the way it is, or is it like everyone just meets up there and we just hang out, or is it like there's like a specific plan to the
Pairing up with
yeah,
someone,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Would it still be considered a date if you don't pair off? Say there's 3 of you, and you're getting to know each other. By the
That would still qualify as a date.
Nah,
Because the definition of dating is really spending time with somebody or people to get to know them. So if it's 3 people going out on a date, it still classifies as a date.
But
dating someone was different.
Yeah.
So are we talking about dating as in just a general term, or like dating someone?
No, general.
But then,
Yeah.
but then there wouldn't be that much difference in Christian and worldly dating if it's just DC. So I think the difference, we should try be more dating someone, because that's where the big difference is, DC.
Right.
Because in general, dating is like people hang out as friends,
Yeah,
people do stuff, people
Yeah.
encourage each other, they like their friendships, but the difference is when it's someone specific, and that's continuous.
Right.
I think I really liked your point though, what you were making earlier about that one, about like the biggest difference is the boundaries. I definitely think I agree with that. And I think I agree because the boundaries in, I guess, like Christian relationships would be based on like the standard of the Bible. Whereas I think a lot of the boundaries that we set ourselves as moral human beings, our moral standards shift based on emotions, based on what situation we are, based on how we feel. So on one day you can feel really resolute about a certain decision that you've made, and then the next day, I don't know, you just feel a bit different, and then you decide to make different decisions. Whereas when, as Christians, I think we're held to the standard of the Bible, which is high, and I think most importantly, unshifting. And I think that's why the boundaries are different. That's why we kind of approach it differently.
Well, I mean, I've noticed both of you now have spoken about boundaries and talking about biblical, a biblical basis for these boundaries. So just enlighten me, please. Can you tell me which biblical character went on a date?
Well, well, none
No,
that I can remember.
There is no date.
None that I can think of.
So where do these boundaries come from?
Well, you have things that say things like statements in the Bible like God saying, "Be pure as I am pure." don't give a hint of sexual immorality.
Yeah.
Sexual immorality is very vast. It's not just it's not just physical. It's very vast. So things like that kind of gear you towards that standard, that godly standard. You see what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is a hint of sexual immorality?
Okay. Example. If what's a very generic example? A hint of sexual immorality.
Flirting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flirting.
What's flirting? Well, I think I'm not trying to be like a 5-year-old here. The point is this: it's well, if I try and be encouraging, all right, I'm married, so I won't do it to anybody else. But if I was trying to be encouraging to someone, I might sort of say, well, you look great today. I like your dress or your shoes or whatever. That's not flirting.
So what would be flirting?
So I think
it's very obvious when you know you're flirting.
sometimes it's not obvious.
Okay, the
Very
person
subtle.
might not.
Yeah. It's very.
No, you know you're flirting.
Oh,
I think the person knows that they're
But
flirting.
some people, it's in their character.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to be aware. So sometimes people would laugh they've trained themselves to laugh in a way that's cute.
Sorry.
That's a great example.
People have trained themselves to talk and giggle and in a cute way.
But that's not flirting.
Oh, that
It
is.
is. It is.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's something that come
Then
across as
I'm like,
flirtation.
okay,
She's cute.
she's laughing.
Yeah,
She's cute.
for a guy.
Yeah.
The
but
way
yeah,
a woman
yeah.
laughs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
If she laughs at
You
your joke,
are kidding
If
me.
my reason, my brain is in my face, and I'm like,
You are kidding me.
she definitely.
Yes.
I guess if you're like looking into the eyes and you're like,
yeah.
True, I mean,
If I flip my hair, if I, touch my, it's so subtle. And I
Yeah,
think
it's
we
true.
train
It's
ourselves.
true.
Today,
Body posture.
Yeah.
Today's
shoulders.
generation has trained themselves.
As a guy, the different cues that you
She likes
do
me.
find attractive as a guy. So,
I'm so shocked.
yeah, it's true.
You sit there with your hands in the
The reason why I said that is because before I became a Christian, I had subtle things I would do.
Right.
So I know, and a lot of people do that. So yeah, I had subtle things. Yeah, and it's very, very common today.
Yeah.
So unless you're aware of yourself, and unless you're and that's why the
I think
hints.
times.
and also sometimes it's very unintentional. Like
Yeah, because
even if
you
you
train
don't train,
yourself.
no,
Yeah.
but even if you don't train yourself intentionally, and you just
want
because
to do it.
nowadays when you're really friendly to someone, it can come across as flirtatious even if you don't want it to, because it's like you're showing attention. So I think attention can also be mistaken for flirting in a way.
Yeah, a girl is talking to me. She obviously fancies me. But seriously, if you are a guy who is not really high up on social skills and things like that, you've got to understand that someone is talking to me is a major thing for them.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
Even to that simple as
Actually, it's true for people who are not, especially in uni.
Yeah.
You have people who are quite well known. So when we've gone to uni, there's the people that everyone's talking to, and there's people that no one's really talking to. So if someone who's quite popular is like, oh yeah, start talking to you, it's like, does he like you start to think because you're not popular. There's that whole stigma of who attracts who's as popular, who's cute, who is pretty enough, who's the most handsome, But in any case, that's the hint. So you don't give such hints. You don't give anything that lures people into that kind of thinking. You don't read things that make people feel, impure that way or anything sexual. That's the hint. So even if you don't intend to, but you have to be very careful of what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're saying it, because that's the standard you have to have. So even if it's something like someone came to my living room and my friend was there, they might start to think, what they're doing there, that's a hint. But he might be, he might have literally passed out on the streets and I'm dragging him to kind of ambulance pick. But that's do you see what I mean? So we have to be more aware of our actions.
Yeah, I got a question. Because my understanding of flirting, I see flirting as a means to build attraction instead of actually trying to build sexual desire. So what I'm trying to understand is, because if we're going to say that flirting itself is wrong, in what sense is it wrong? And what do we mean by, is flirting wrong? Is flirting wrong?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Why is it wrong? In what sense is it wrong?
So according to the dictionary, flirting is when you behave as though sexually attracted to someone, but playfully rather than with serious intentions.
Okay, so with that definition,
Yeah.
I would say flirting is wrong. But
Yeah.
but I would also say, at some point, if you are going out on various dates to encourage people, you might eventually meet somebody who you think, actually, I do quite like them and might really want to take this further. Because you know what? Christians do get married. So at some point, there must be a crossover where it's sort of like, okay, this is going to be a bit more than an encouragement date.
Yeah.
Now I am going to laugh at your lame jokes, and I am going to flick my hair, and
You don't
all
need
of
to
these,
flick your
all of these kind of things, because you're kind of gauging, are we interested in taking this further?
And would that be wrong?
Exactly. Is it going to be wrong?
Flick your hair.
I feel like
That's not here to play.
I mean, I can think of one story in the Bible. I mean, you look at Jacob, for example, when before he gets married to, was it
Rachel.
Rachel? Was it
no,
Rebecca?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. Was it Rachel? I don't
Rachel.
know. One of I get
No,
confused.
Isaac was Rachel.
Rachel, yes, Rachel. Isaac was Rachel.
Yeah.
Isaac was Rebecca.
Oh,
Isaac was Rebecca. Jacob was Rachel. Okay. And
One of the girls. One of the girls. It's an hour. Okay.
and the Bible talks about how she was coming to the well to feed her animals, and there was this like big well, and there's a stone that required a lot of people to lift it for them to get the water out of the well. But Jacob, wanting to impress her, goes and he lifts it by himself and he feeds her animals.
That's not flirting. Are you trying to insinuate that by him doing that he was flirting?
But he was trying to show off certain characteristics about himself to build attraction in her. So would that be wrong?
He wouldn't have
I
done
don't
it. He
think-
wouldn't
I
have
think
done it
there's
if a
difference.
guy had come along. He would have said, "Well, let him
Right.
struggle himself." But because an attractive woman has come along, he says, "Right, let me give you a hand here."
Right.
Yeah, but that I don't think that's flirting. I think there's a difference between a man kind of showing himself as worthy of the woman's hand
Right.
and just kind of playfully giving her eyes or doing things that doesn't actually mean anything. Because as you know, they do end up getting married.
Yeah.
So I think if we were to take this discussion further and talk about what's the difference between secular dating and courting, that's very intentional. That's like a courting process, if you see what I mean. So he's trying to show himself to be worthy of her by, look, I'm strong, I can take care of you, I can protect and provide,
Right.
So he's showing certain qualities, whereas flirting it's not going to go anywhere. It's just very playful. It's just about sexual chemistry and all that business, and it's actually not helpful. It's not helpful for the other person unless, as you were alluding to, there is some intention that it's going to go somewhere. But then even within Christian dating, I don't think it's helpful because there's no guarantee that that relationship's actually going to continue. So and then you've crossed boundaries, and it's not helpful. If you're meant to be remaining pure, then it's not helpful. So.
Right.
Okay, well, I believe we're going to have to close it there. I've been getting signals from the man behind the camera, and I think he means stop. So please get ready we've got to do the please comment bit, so everyone ready? So if you've enjoyed this, please first subscribe, that's the bell-shaped button, and also like it, that's the hand one, and then also please leave a comment. Do let us know what you would like us to talk about next time. We hope you've learned something. We may even have done as well, so thank you very much for joining.
Bye.